Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really pulling back the curtain on Facebook's pivotal early days. We're looking specifically at that intense time around the 2012 IPO and their, super aggressive push for international expansion.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it all through the lens of one person's pretty extraordinary assignment, a story she shares, right from the front lines.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is just a monumental moment for Facebook. I mean, going public, facing all that market scrutiny, and also grappling with that classic tech company challenge.
Right.
Their most valuable asset isn't factories or products you can hold. It's the people, their talent.
Absolutely.
So this deep dive, it really explores how they navigated that pressure, what values were driving them, and the surprising personal stakes involved for the folks actually tasked with making it all happen.
So our mission today is to unpack the fascinating, maybe sometimes unsettling lengths a company like that would go to just to keep its top talent. You'll hear how that famous move fast and break things mantra played out globally, and what happens when this digital world just slams into real world politics and, human experience.
Yeah.
You're honestly about to hear details that might make you rethink what you thought you knew about Facebook's origins and its global impact. Okay, so let's unpack this. The scene is set just before the IPO, April 2012. Hundreds of employees are about to become millionaires, like overnight.
Right. Huge potential payouts.
And predictably, a lot of them had already said they were leaving. They apparently split into two camps, which is kind of funny, those starting their own companies.
Or those becoming DJs.
And those becoming DJs, exactly. So for a company whose product is its people, its talent, this was a massive threat, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A huge threat. And that put immense pressure on the leadership, to keep the really key individuals. And one name really stands out there. Javier Olivan, or Avi. Yeah. He was critical. Almost, you could argue, as powerful internally as Sheryl Sandberg, one of Zuckerberg's top lieutenants, but with basically zero public profile.
And Javi sounds really unique, especially for Facebook leadership back then. I mean, first off, not American.
Right. Spanish.
Late 30s, noticeable Spanish accent, avid surfer. And get this, he actually built a Facebook competitor in Spain.
In his spare time.
In his spare time. And it was apparently so good that Mark just hired him instead of trying to compete.
Yeah, speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It really does. He's described as forceful, no bullshit, but also having a sense of humor. Sounds like quite the figure.
He was, and he had a huge job. Javi was the guy in charge of Facebook's global growth. His team basically ran the, let's call it the capitalist engine of the whole company.
Okay.
Facebook's entire model depended on conquering new territories, expanding exponentially. That was Javi's world.
So with all that on the line, the IPO looming, the talent drain risk, our narrator gets this really unusual assignment from her boss, Elliot. Take Javi to Cartagena, Colombia, to the Summit of the Americas, where all the presidents and prime ministers gather.
Yeah, big deal event.
And the mission, basically, show him a good time and make sure he comes back from Cartagena wanting to stay at Facebook.
Wow.
She said it had a weird vibe, this whole diplomatic mission focused just on keeping one employee.
It really highlights the ethos of Javi's growth team, though. They didn't just want growth. They played fast and loose, as the source puts it.
Okay.
Super aggressive, quick to stake a claim, always looking for openings in that, gray area created by the lack of regulation.
And you can see that in some pretty wild examples, like this team came up with importing user contacts into Facebook.
Yeah.
And initially, they didn't even really ask permission properly. Like, you could opt out in Messenger, but they might take them anyway. Growth first, consent kind of second.
Exactly. That was the mindset. And they were also behind the people you may know tool.
Oh, yeah, that caused a stir.
Huge stir. Mashable called it. Creepy as hell. And remember that example. A sperm donor being recommended his biological child.
Who he'd never met. Yeah, that's unsettling.
It really shows that aggressive, almost blinkered push for connection, for growth, whatever the cost.
It's amazing how that growth at all costs thing connects historically. The source mentions Alexis de Tocqueville.
Right, visiting the U.S. in the 1800s.
Yeah, he's on this rickety steamboat. It capsizes. He asks the makers, why not make these safer?
And the answer?
Basically, tech moves too fast. By the time we fix it, it's obsolete. Better to just, take a chance. If some people drown, well, something better is coming soon anyway.
Wow. That cheerful recklessness. Forward motion without introspection. That sounds exactly like the growth team's approach.
It really does. It caused tension inside Facebook, too, right? The growth team suggesting they, juice the algorithm to give politicians some love.
Yeah, boost their pages.
While our narrator's policy team is insisting, no, we have to be scrupulously neutral for the long haul.
That conflict really shows you what was arguably Facebook's beating heart back then.
The growth team.
Yeah, their values, growth more,
Yeah.
kind of became the company's core values, at least for that period.
So, okay, back to Cartagena. Growth at all costs mindset buzzing around. But despite Javi being Zuck's top guy...
Facebook wasn't actually that big a deal to these government officials in 2012. Not yet.
Right, so our narrator and Javi show up for this grand opening dinner, 16th century fortress, the works.
Sounds amazing.
And there are no seats assigned for Facebook. None.
Ouch.
They spend the whole evening just standing near the food, watching the presidents and prime ministers mingle.
That must have played right into Javi's feelings about the IPO, his own ambitions.
Totally. You can imagine her thinking, what am I doing here? He was described as itching to prove himself on his own terms, wanting to go and start something.
Yeah. And our narrator must be thinking, oh no, I'm failing. He's definitely going to quit.
Right. So she tries this sort of Hail Mary, this coup. She manages to get Javi a keynote speaking slot.
Okay, that's something.
And it's timed right before a huge session with President Obama and other heads of state. Javi's actually excited, unlike Mark. Apparently, he liked the buzz of a crowd. But then, disaster. Just as he's about to speak, the whole audience basically gets up and rushes out.
Oh, no.
To grab seats for the Obama session next door, leaving Javi to talk to an almost empty auditorium.
Oh, that's brutal. Absolutely crushing.
Talk about failing the mission, but then the trip gets even weirder.
How so?
Javi invites her out with some friends. Turns out they're all tech CEOs from the region.
Okay. Networking.
And they meet this guy, Juan Del Mar. Striking dude, tall, playing the host. He's introduced as a bullfighter who owns the restaurant and is also an actor.
Bullfighter, restaurateur, actor. That's quite a resume.
And then there are these weird jokes about her engagement ring, and the guys keep switching into Spanish to talk about her, which she can't understand. Very strange vibe.
So what was going on? This sounds completely surreal.
It gets more surreal. The climax happens after midnight. They get pulled into this back alley salsa club. Hot, crowded room where salsa music blares, sticky floors.
Okay.
And Javi leans over and whispers, Hillary Clinton is here.
Wait, what? Hillary Clinton? In a back alley salsa club in Cartagena?
That's exactly what the narrator thought. Like, no way, Javi, it's past midnight. Look at this place. The U.S. Secretary of State is not here.
Yeah, sounds completely unbelievable.
But he pulls her over, and there she is, Hillary Clinton, beer in hand, dancing near the band.
No way. Seriously.
And then the final twist about Juan Del Mar, the bullfighter actor guy.
Yeah.
As Hillary's dancing nearby, the narrator asks Javi, like, you mean he's an adult actor? And Javi's just like, yeah, I guess he's a porn star.
Okay, this is officially the weirdest business trip ever. Bullfighters, porn stars, the Secretary of State in a salsa club.
Totally absurd.
Yeah.
And in that moment, surrounded by all this chaos, she just asks Javi straight out, are you going to quit?
What did he say?
He looks over at Hillary Clinton dancing, kind of considers it and says, I think I'll stay for now.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. And he did stay for over a decade, ended up becoming Facebook's chief operating officer after Sheryl Sandberg left.
So, vision accomplished in the most bizarre way possible.
Absolutely. Talk about unexpected outcomes. So Javi decided to stay, which was a win, but the honeymoon for the IPO itself, pretty short-lived.
Yeah, things turned sour fast.
By October 2012, Facebook hit 1 billion users. They had parties for the rank and file, balloons, the whole thing.
Celebrations downstairs.
But upstairs, for top management, 1 billion users was actually seen as a crisis.
How come?
Because the stock had tanked, had dropped by half in 5 months, IPO'd at $38, down to $19. They felt like they were running out of road.
Right. Growth wasn't matching the initial hype. Wall Street was panicking.
Exactly. So the new reality became Facebook's survival depended on dramatic growth, like explosive growth.
And that meant looking beyond the U.S.
Totally. Suddenly, countries outside the U.S. became of vital importance. The narrator's job, which maybe wasn't seen as directly impacting the share price before.
Policy regulation.
Yeah, that stuff. Suddenly it was paramount. Getting past foreign regulators and opening up markets was now critical to the bottom line.
So her role completely shifted.
Exploded, yeah. She was suddenly flying everywhere. Mexico, Vietnam, Brazil, Argentina, Canada. Handing out business cards, often the first Facebook person these governments had ever met.
Wow.
Offering to solve problems, explaining how the platform even worked.
But that must have brought back that tension, right, between policy and growth.
Oh, absolutely. She wanted to educate politicians, regulators, like explain people you may know to the Canadian Privacy Commissioner, build trust.
Which makes sense from a policy perspective.
But her bosses, like Marn, were apparently asking things like, why do you want to break into jail?
Meaning,
don't go looking for problems, don't raise tricky issues, just open the market, prioritize growth.
got it, a familiar tension.
And it's in that exact climate that Myanmar becomes the next big target.
Right, huge potential market.
Over 60 million people, potential new users, largely untapped internet market at the time. But just as they're focusing on it, the military junta running Myanmar blocks Facebook.
Ah, okay. Roadblock.
Big one. And Javi's reaction was immediate and urgent. He tells the policy team it's the network effect.
Explain that again.
Basically, Facebook gets more valuable the more people use it. Everyone connects to everyone. Being blocked breaks that chain. It stops the momentum. It's a disaster.
Okay, so it wasn't just losing potential users. It was breaking the core growth mechanic.
Exactly. So Javi insists someone needs to get on the ground and figure out what's going on. Then Marn adds, and fix this law, referring to this new law the junta had passed, giving them formal power to shut Facebook down whenever they wanted.
High stakes.
And Javi's final word to the narrator, don't come back until you've sorted it out.
Wow. No pressure then. Just fly into a country run by a military junta, get Facebook unblocked, and change their laws. Easy.
Pretty much. And the journey itself sounds daunting. Tanay Ta, the capital, described as this desolate, empty, 20-lane highway.
20 lanes.
Yeah. People speculated it was built so the Shinto leaders could use it as a runway to escape if needed.
Okay, that sets the scene.
And the city itself, a planned capital, looked nice on paper but was just weirdly empty. Her hotel, basic, miles out of town, down a dirt track, no reliable electricity, no hot water, no food, and crucially, no internet or cell service.
How do you even start working in those conditions? Setting up meetings must have been impossible.
Practically, her plan was to use the World Economic Forum regional meeting happening there, maybe connect with someone from the junta.
Makes sense. Try to find them on neutral ground.
But she describes this party, the WEF party, as just grotesque excess, limitless champagne, musicians on stilts, incredible food.
Well, right outside.
There's abject poverty. The contrast was jarring. And it wasn't the place to meet junta officials anyway. She just got laughed at. Blank stares or warnings like, you're in their bad books.
No, plan A fails. What next?
She decides to try and connect with Aung San Suu Kyi, Nobel Prize winner leading the opposition, a big name.
Right. Maybe she could help.
Her assistant says no meeting. But the narrator finds out Aung San Suu Kyi is attending a WEF luncheon in her honor. So she basically sneaks in early, finds the seating plan, sees where Aung San Suu Kyi is supposed to sit, and just plonks herself down at that table.
Bold move.
Very bold. And when Aung San Suu Kyi arrives, sees her sitting there, she just looks at her, gestures, and says, come. Like, invited her to stay.
Wow. Surprising.
Then this awkward introduction to Shui Man, who is about to become Speaker in Parliament, language barrier. I do not speak English. I don't speak Burmese. And his reaction was apparently quite something. He asks, you really from Facebook? And then gently touches her face, like to check if she's real.
Surreal.
Totally. And Aung San Suu Kyi gives this subtle but really important warning. Whatever you say to me, you're saying to the junta, implying they were listening or would find out.
Okay, so even talking to the opposition was risky.
Definitely. So the next morning, she actually has a meeting scheduled at the Ministry of Communications, but no way to get there, no taxis, nothing.
Stranded again.
So she tries to hitchhike on that empty 20-lane highway, holding out a $20 bill and sticking her thumb out.
Oh my God. Hitchhiking to meet the junta.
And then trying to mime where she needs to go.
Yeah.
Miming driving, answering a phone, drawing a square for government ministry.
Right.
Then remembering it's the junta, so she starts miming, marching, and saluting.
This is unbelievable. You couldn't make this stuff up.
She talks about the fear, being lost alone, miles from anywhere, maybe failing this impossible mission.
I can only imagine. And what was the ministry like when she finally got there?
Even more surreal. She's led into this huge dark hall, like a Gothic cathedral or a feudal court, she says, dominated by these massive ornate thrones.
Thrones?
Yeah. Her first thought was genuinely, am I being taken hostage? She thought of ISIS videos. Then suddenly this blinding light bursts through a curtain. A camera crew appears. A microphone mechanically grinds out of the armrest of her chair.
What is happening? It sounds like a movie.
Right. But despite all this intimidating setup, the actual interaction with the deputy ministers of information was almost comical.
How so?
They were just genuinely astonished, like, you are from the Facebook, you are from the internet, as if she'd literally crawled out of a computer. She had to explain the basics of what Facebook was.
So they blocked it without fully understanding it. What were their actual concerns?
Well, they understood some things. Facebook had become the main online space for the tiny percentage of the population online then, maybe 1%.
Okay.
And it was fueling ethnic tensions, particularly between Muslims and Buddhists. There was nasty stuff being posted about the junta, too.
Right. So for an authoritarian regime.
Their instinct is control. Problem online. Information causing trouble. Just simply switch it off. They'd apparently been doing this on and off for years.
But it only mattered to Facebook now because of the stock price crisis and the desperate need for growth.
Exactly. Before, it was a minor inconvenience. Now, it was a disaster needing immediate fixing. So, did she fix it? Was there a breakthrough?
A tentative one. An agreement to talk before they blocked it again in the future.
Okay, communication channel opened. Ish.
Ish is right. Because then came the next problem. How to actually communicate. They apparently had no working government email addresses.
Seriously?
In 2012.
Apparently not reliable ones. They had to ask if they could call you on the telephone.
Wow. Okay.
And then our narrator makes this ill-timed joke about her own phone not working in the hotel, which did not go down well. Offended them.
Oops. Cultural misstep.
Big time. But despite the frowns, the cameras, the phone issues, the raw power they projected, a fragile agreement was reached. Unblock Facebook and maybe call first next time.
Because there would be a next time.
Oh, yeah. The source makes that clear. This wasn't a permanent fix.
So after all that,
Yeah.
the hitchhiking, the thrones, the awkward meeting, how did she feel? Utterly drained. Physically and emotionally exhausted. She describes feeling heavy and empty and this deep hunger that wasn't just about needing food.
I can imagine. Just completely wrung out. And then in that state, in that basic hotel room, the old rotary phone rings. Like a sound from the past. 1982's calling, she says.
Who was it?
It was Tom, her partner. And he was furious, deeply worried, hadn't heard from her in days because of the lack of service.
Understandable.
But she noticed his anger had this new, insistent edge to it.
And why was that?
Because she was pregnant.
Oh, wow. She went through all of that while pregnant.
Yes. And she hadn't told her bosses.
Right.
She felt she was constantly on trial for the job, especially as a woman in that environment. She was certain they'd see it as a negative, that it would count against her. And given the work-first culture, especially her boss Marn's attitude, she figured they'd probably tell her to go anyway, pregnant or not. So she felt she just had to tough it out.
The pressure must have been immense. Keep this huge secret. Deal with the physical demands, the stress, the danger.
Unbelievable pressure. And the emotional fallout hit hard back in that hotel room. She felt lonely, chastened, desperately unhappy, irresponsible, and ashamed.
Questioning everything.
Everything. Had she done right by Tom? By the junta? By Facebook? Her bosses? Aung San Suu Kyi? The people of Myanmar who might be affected by Facebook? Was Facebook even the thing I thought it was?
That's a heavy burden to carry.
Absolutely. And there's this really raw, vulnerable moment she describes. Standing in the cold shower because there was no hot water, finally accepting Tom was right to be angry, and just instinctively touching her stomach, feeling for any sign of life.
Wow.
That trip, she realized, didn't just achieve a fragile diplomatic goal. It marked this profound shift in her own center of gravity.
A life-changing experience in every sense.
What a journey, really. From that high-stakes, almost absurd talent retention mission in a Cartagena salsa club.
Right, with Hillary Clinton dancing nearby.
To this incredibly perilous, high-stakes diplomatic foray into the heart of Myanmar, dealing with a military junta. It shows that the story of Facebook's early global growth is just so much more complex and, frankly, more human than we probably ever imagined.
It absolutely is. And this deep dive, it really leaves us with some provocative thoughts, doesn't it? As these global tech companies keep expanding, operating almost like, de facto digital nations, what is their actual responsibility when they enter these vastly different political and cultural landscapes, especially when a platform becomes pretty much the entire internet for a whole country, like it was starting to in Myanmar?
That's a huge question.
How do you balance those intense growth ambitions driven by stock prices and network effects with the immense power and the, frankly, unavoidable ethical challenges that come with that territory?
And what about the unseen personal tolls? The burdens carried by the individuals, like our narrator, who are actually driving that growth on the ground, often in impossible circumstances.
Exactly. These are the questions that linger long after the deals are done and the platforms are switched back on. Questions really for all of us to grapple with as these digital giants